You see, what we're talking about here is an organism that imitates other life forms, and it imitates them perfectly. When this thing attacked our dogs, it tried to digest them, absorb them, and in the process shape its own cells to imitate them.
You're listening to Scotty and Andrew, and this is Fun with Horror.
Well, hello, our beautiful, amazing friends with horror. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Scotty.
Welcome, everybody. This is episode 159 of Fun with Horror. And again, we're the most wholesome horror movie podcast in the entire universe. Not just world, the universe, I checked. Of course, what we are is a podcast where two long-distance best friends give each other horror movies to watch to stay in touch. Then we talk about them and enjoy it with all of you.
That is correct. 2 weeks ago, a long time ago, I got to choose our next movie, and I decided to continue our journey through the three movies called The Thing, based on the novella Who Goes There. I chose to continue that with the 1982 The Thing. Of course, wait until the end of this episode, and we're going to get to hear what Andrew is picking for our next episode. And since there are no more movies based on The Thing, or The Thing movies, I don't even know how to say it, buddy.
The Thing universe? I don't know. I don't know.
Thingiverse. The Thingiverse.
I like
yes.
it.
Yes.
I like it. Wow.
That would mean never mind. Never mind. I had a thought, and I'm not going to finish it.
Oh, look at you.
But as I was saying, everybody, wait until the end of this episode to hear what Andrew is going to pick for our next movie. And because we've watched all the movies based on Who Goes There in the Thingiverse, we don't know what Andrew's going to pick this time.
Ooh.
Until then, hi, my beautiful buddy.
Hi, my beautiful buddy. How are you?
I'm good, baby boy. How are you?
I'm good, baby blues. That's what I call you.
You know what, buddy?
What?
I meant to say something 2 episodes or last episode ago. I'm just all lost. No, it's...
Hey.
So it is actually 2 episodes ago because we had our Friday the 13th episode as well. So yes.
That's right.
But the last time we spoke,
yes,
I forgot to mention something. Do you remember the store Dark Delicacies?
I do, yes.
Well, Dark Delicacies shut down their physical doors for good.
Oh.
They're there no longer. But here's what happened, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
My good friends Amalia and
Yes.
Kay and Vanessa opened their own store in that space.
Awesome.
That store is called Killer Fitness.
You know what? I actually saw a little bit about this, and it looks so cool.
It is really freaking cool, dude. It's not only a little bit of a retail store, but half the store is this big open space, and they actually have honest-to-God fitness classes. They have yoga, they have exercise, whatever. A lot of the classes are horror-themed.
Cool. That's really cool. Oh, man.
And also, they're going to use that space to also have movie screenings. So I haven't gone to any yet, but by the time this episode is out, I will have gone to 2 or 3 screenings that my friend Patrick is throwing as part of Contracelluloid.
Cool. I love Patrick. Patrick's the best. That's awesome.
Patrick is the best.
Yes.
But we don't really have to say that because he never listens. So
Patrick.
he might listen to this one if I tell him we mentioned his beautiful name. But yeah.
Yes.
Everybody look up Killer Fitness in Burbank, California. If you're there, look up Contracelluloid. Go to the screenings, go to the store, do the fitness classes. They're really fun. Yeah.
It's times like this where I'm like, oh, I wish I was there because I would absolutely go there to work out.
I
That'd
would
be
work out
awesome.
right next to you.
God, I wish. Look at us.
Look at us. We might fling our sweat on each other.
Ooh.
That sounds so bad.
Hey, no, if anything, some listeners are like, all right.
Oh, here comes the fun with horror fan fiction.
Oh. Dude, we better get some
Oh,
drawings too. Oh my
Oh.
gosh. Can you imagine?
And I hope the person that draws them is a furry.
I think we all hope that.
Yeah. Here's another thing, buddy. I was going to tell you. And this
Yeah.
is fun with horror themed.
What?
So we all know Ziggy the horror cat, correct?
Obviously, the greatest cat in the world. One of two of the greatest cats in the world, I should say.
Correct. Ziggy has a little bit of what do you call it when a baby or a dog or a cat doesn't like it when its owner leaves? What is it called?
Oh, it's separation anxiety?
Thank you. Separation
welcome.
anxiety. He's got a little bit of it.
Oh.
And I've been experimenting with things to help him. And for the past few weeks,
Mhm.
I've been putting on like these relaxing YouTubes of like Alaska. And it's like 11 hours of aerial shots of Alaska with really calm music, right?
Nice. Yeah, okay.
Well, he still antagonizes Bowie sometimes. So I suddenly thought of something brilliant just this morning.
Yeah.
I'm actually leaving our podcast on when I leave so that he gets to hear my voice after we leave.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great idea.
Of course, the first day I did this today,
Mhm.
I checked the camera at work after I got there, and the little mother effer went in the bedroom away from my voice. I'm like, what the hell, dude? I leave my voice on for you and you go as far away from it as you can. What the hell?
Wow. That's what he's doing. He's trying to be nice. Like, hey, I'm going to miss you. Oh, and then you leave and he's like, oh, thank God. Lights up a cigarette in the house. He's just ready to go.
Yeah. He better not. I hate smoking.
I know. That's why. He just does it. A little rebel.
Little rebel. Okay, but you know what? Here's the thing. Has it
I
gotten
was
old
ready
yet?
for that one. No.
My God, what was happening to him?
I think if it had more time to finish, it would have looked and sounded and acted just like Bennings.
I don't know what you're saying.
There was one of those things out there trying to imitate him, Gary.
The Thing was released June 25th, 1982. It was directed by John Carpenter. Have you heard of him?
He's done a couple little kind of indies, I think. Some like scary ones.
Correct.
Yeah, I think so.
It was written by Bill Lancaster, and just like the last two movies, it was based on a novella called Who Goes There by John W. Campbell Jr. It stars, drumroll please, Kurt Russell as McCready, Wilford Brimley as Blair, Keith David as Childs, Richard Masur as Clark, T.K. Carter as Knowles, David Clinnan as Palmer, Richard Dysart as Dr. Copper, Charles Hallahan as Norris, Peter Maloney as Bennings, David Moffat as Gary, John Polis as Fuchs, and Thomas G. Waits as Windows. And I believe, I'm not totally sure, but I believe the dog in the movie is named, is it Jed? Where the hell? I had it written down. I thought I had it written down. Maybe I do not have it written down. Oh, wait. Yes, I do. Jed. Somebody in the bonus features called the dog Jed. So
Nice.
I think Jed plays the dog.
Awesome. Now, of course, before we jump too far into this, we need to know, before spoilers, obviously, we need to know your thoughts on this movie, man. Without spoilers, what do you think of this not very well-known movie?
Both of our opinions here, let me just preface this, is
Yes.
in that this is not an easy movie for us to discuss because we know so many horror fans hold this movie near and dear to their hearts.
True. Yes.
So please, no matter what we say, give us a little love. We're just being honest about our feelings about this movie. Don't come with us with pitchforks. It's just an opinion.
yes.
And if you think this is the greatest horror movie ever made, we love your opinion. And we love that for you.
Yes.
That said, I think this is the great... No, I'm kidding. Okay. Here's the thing. I saw this movie when I was a teenager.
Okay.
In the middle of my horror movie phase. I thought it was good. I thought it was fun back then.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I watched it again around the turn of the century, around 2000 something, early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I didn't love it then.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I thought the monster effects were cool, but I remember having some feelings at the end of it and just going like, yeah, it's fine. But then over time after that, I started to find out how well regarded this movie is with horror fans. How people think this is one of the greatest horror movies ever made. And it made me think about this movie, and I have not watched it since then until now.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay, wow. Awesome.
So like you, I watched it directly after finishing The Thing prequel that we reviewed in our last podcast episode. And I will say that I think this movie is almost a perfect movie.
Nice. All right.
The issues I had with it back at the turn of the century, I still have a couple of questions, but they're largely not there.
Okay.
I think this is a classic movie. I think the special effects are incredible.
Yes.
I think it's a very, very bleak movie, which I absolutely love. I love the feeling it leaves me with, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a while. I'm not sure if I give this 4.5 or 5 out of 5 stars.
Nice. Okay.
But it's pretty high. So, all that said, Andrew, what do you think of John Carpenter's The Thing?
Well, before I even say, when you did the intro about this movie and you said it came out June 25th, 1982, this episode, because of course Fun with Horror does its weird things, comes out June 24th, the day before the 43rd anniversary then of this movie, because that's how this just works.
Yeah, we do not plan that at all.
We don't ever plan these things, and then it just happens.
We are doing this movie because it was requested in our Spotify comments, and after I saw the request, I was like, you know what? It's time. Wow. Thank you, Andrew. That's amazing.
I know. I just, as you said it, I was like, wait, we're in June. And then I looked to see when this episode comes out, and it's the day before the 43rd anniversary, which is pretty cool.
That's incredible.
Right? This always happens to us. Oh, I love it. Anyway, all that being said, that's so cool. All that being said, I love this movie. Plain and simple, man. I think this is such a blast. As you said, this is arguably my favorite practical effects from maybe any movie. I think it's so wonderful, the creature design. But again, we'll get into that more later. But yes, I love this movie. I think it's a blast, and I'm excited to talk to you about it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, what that means is that now that we've said what we think of this movie without spoilers, now we're going to spoil it. And here's the thing. We are being unleashed on all of our listeners today. We are going to spoil The Thing 1982. We will talk about spoilers from The Thing 2011. In fact, you might, in a way, consider our last episode a prequel to this one.
Ooh, look at that.
Yeah, because there are some things that we held back from saying because we didn't want to spoil this movie in case Juliet in Wisconsin hasn't seen The Thing 1982 yet.
That's right. That's right.
So this is for you, Juliet.
Yeah, thanks for listening, Juliet.
So we're about to spoil this movie.
Yes.
We're going to spoil everything about it. But before we spoil everything about this movie, we're going to spoil something for those who are sensitive to trigger warnings.
And this one, as we know, or as if you know much about this movie, there are dogs in this movie, my friend. And I think we should let the people know, because there are dogs, do the dogs die?
Andrew, I am sorry to say that all the dogs die in this movie.
Yep.
Yeah. It's pretty gruesome. It's pretty gory. So if you're very sensitive to it, it might bother you. However, there is still an 80s shimmer over it There's a couple scenes that I kind of cringe at, but overall, it doesn't get to me. And it may be because I watched it back in the day when animal deaths didn't bother me as much.
Right.
I don't know. What about
Right.
you? How much did it bother you?
It didn't well, I knew it was coming, but also the fact I'm with you. There is that kind of 80s feel to it. So at least when I was watching it, I was more focused on the creature design at the moment because it's so 80s and there's so much cool creature design that I didn't feel as bad about it. I'll just say that.
Well, Andrew, now that we've
Yes.
gotten that out of the way,
Yes.
now we can spoil the entire movie for everybody.
Woohoo.
And that means I am taking out my beautiful virtual 20-sided dice, which happens to be orange.
Yay.
I am going to continue to roll it until you tell me to stop. And if it lands on odd, you get to do the 3-minute recap. And if it lands on even, I'll do it. I'll do it for you.
Thanks, buddy. Go ahead and stop it.
Oh, not only is it an odd number,
Oh, no.
but it is my lucky number. The date of my birth, Andrew. It is number 17.
Oh, look at that.
So you're doing it for me.
This is for you, buddy. This is for you.
Well, let me tell you what. Let me tell you what happened here.
Oh, boy.
My lovely father,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah, who watched this movie with me when I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
He actually crawled out of his grave.
Oh, gosh. Oh, no.
And he said, I want my cake. Oh, get it? Father's Day.
I got
Creep
it.
show.
Just
Creep show.
Oh, my God.
But then he said, son, I'm so sorry that I got you into horror movies. It made me crawl out of my grave with how much I hate that I got you so into horror movies. But I remember when we watched The Thing together, and when you do a podcast episode on it, I hope Andrew does the 3-minute recap.
Wow.
And I hope he does it well, because otherwise I'm going to haunt his house.
No, no. Oh, wow.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
And
my gosh.
He crawled back in, and that was it. And I was like, thanks, Dad. I love you.
Oh, man. Wow. Well, requiescat de pace to your father. Hopefully that
Is
makes
that
him
is
not-
that I want my cake in
No,
Latin?
it's rest in peace in
Oh,
Italian.
okay.
It's from Assassin's Creed, man. That's how I learned it.
I'm still thinking creep show.
I know. Oh, boy.
Pressure.
Okay. Yeah. Let me start.
I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime.
All right. The Thing begins with a dog, which if you know what, I'm not going to even bring up our last movie. We're just going to focus on this one. We'll talk about this later. The Thing begins with a husky dog running through the mountains. We see a helicopter chasing it and shooting at it. Eventually, they get to a base where the dog runs into the base or around the base with the people there. The people jump out of the helicopter and they speak Norwegian. So our Americans that are at the base don't understand what's happening. They try and shoot at the dog and hit one of the people. One of the guys grabs a bomb or a grenade and it blows up him because he drops it, it blows up him in the helicopter. And the other guy is shot because he accidentally shoots one of the members at the American base. These guys don't know what's going on at the American base, and so they realize who they are. They're from the Norwegian base, which is a little ways away. They bring the dog inside into the kennel with the other dogs that they have, and then McCready, our main character, as well as a couple other people, I believe, go to the Norwegian base to see what the heck they were talking about or running from or whatever. When they get there, they find this creature that has a couple faces, and it's pretty badly burnt. And they bring it with them to take back to their base to kind of study it. And when they're there, they notice there's a lot of carnage, a lot of anarchy, blood, axes, dead bodies, all sorts of craziness, as well as a giant ice block that looks like it's been kind of cracked in half and something may have come out of it. They get back to the base with this creature. The doctor starts doing an autopsy on it and sees that it has human organs. During this time, we also see that the dog that's in the kennel, here's your trigger warning, friends with animal love. The dog begins to transform into its creature self and start kind of killing all the other dogs and absorbing them or adding it to him. Anyway, our group goes in there and sees what's happening and, sets it on fire. During this time as well, the Dr. Blair is looking at the autopsy of this creature it found and sees that it replicates. It can replicate things. They think they got the thing at this point, I believe. And Blair eventually starts having a freak out, realizing that the thing is still alive and that it's replicating and that maybe it's taken over the body of someone. He's freaking out. He's having a panic attack. He's throwing things, destroying things. They eventually lock him up in kind of a shed out in the snowy area. During this time, we don't know who the thing is, if the thing is anything, but we eventually find out that at least one person has become the thing. They light him on fire, and they realize that there could be more. It becomes a who or what could the thing be, because it might be one of us, so it becomes a trust-type movie. At one point, McCready goes out with a little group to get supplies or find something I can't quite remember, and he doesn't come back. Two of the people that he went out with run back in. They say, McCready, we found some stuff in McCready's cabin that makes it look like he might be a thing. So they're like, leave him out there. We'll forget about him. Eventually, a little bit later, McCready does come in, and he's holding some sticks of dynamite with a flamethrower. And he says, I'm coming in. We're figuring this out. If you don't let me in, I'm going to blow us all up. It's a pretty good threat. So they all go in, and he decides they need to test blood. Or actually, they decided this earlier. Someone sabotaged the blood testing. So now he says, let's take blood from each other, and we're going to test it to see if it's the thing. So what they do is they begin taking blood from everyone, putting it in a petri dish, and then he lights up a metal piece and sticks it in the blood to see if it has a reaction. He's fine. A few others are fine. Eventually, he sticks it, though, into one, and the blood shoots up and goes crazy. We see that one of them is the thing. He's tied up, and he starts shaking. He morphs into the thing, swallows windows, kind of, and anarchy ensues. They start lighting everything on fire. We'll get more into this, but it's sort of cat and mouse, sort of who's who, who's what, everything. They eventually get to look at the spaceship where the creature is from. Towards the end, though, McCready says, none of us can be trusted, essentially. Let's just burn everything down. So as he's burning the place down, he and Childs get split up. A couple other people that are there end up getting killed by the thing. The whole place is burning around them, and McCready seems like he's the only one left alive on this station. Everything's burning around him. He's sitting there realizing he's going to die out in the cold while this all burns. And Childs shows up, who's been missing for a while. And, of course, they look at each other thinking, which one of us is the thing? And they share a little bit of whiskey with one another, leaving us as the audience to wonder, is one of them the thing? Knowing that it's a bleak ending. It's not going to be happy for anyone. And that's how the thing ends.
That was fantastic, buddy.
That's hard.
It was just under 3 minutes long. And my dad would be so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Wow. Oh, he would be proud of you too, buddy.
Side note, did you know that I was born on Father's Day?
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
June 17th. In the year I was born was Father's Day.
In 1996.
Buddy, let's talk about this movie just a tiny bit, shall we?
I would say like at least 10 minutes. That's probably enough.
for one of the most well-regarded horror movies ever made. So funny enough. Okay, so
yes.
Did you know?
Probably not.
First of all, let me just say this. There's going to be a lot of people out there listening going like, dude, I knew that. Okay,
right,
so
yeah.
I've got some trivia. If you already know all this trivia, just whatever, man.
Just enjoy the podcast. Enjoy our voices. We're here to bring you comfort and joy.
Enjoy the silence.
That's all you can sing.
So anyway,
yes.
Did you know that this movie released 2 weeks after E.T. the Extraterrestrial?
No, I don't think I did know that. Wow.
That's why this movie was a box office failure.
Ah, that makes sense.
You knew that, right? Did you know that?
I did know that.
Yep.
Yep.
It did not do well at the box office. It became a classic later on, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
And it's also one of the beautiful things about home video. You know, it came out on videotape and people started watching it more and were like, wow, look at this movie.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, like at the time, E.T. was, it was huge. So
What a month to be alive and go to the theater, man. Dang.
I never went to the theater to see The Thing, but I definitely saw E.T. at the theater a bunch of times.
Nice.
But what I said a couple episodes ago about going back in time, and I wish I could go back and sit in the theater.
Yes.
On opening weekend. I wish I could go back to opening weekend of this movie. Simply because of how John Carpenter and Kurt Russell in the commentary were talking about how people reacted to this movie.
Ooh, yeah. I'm curious at the time, especially.
This is pretty extreme for 1982.
For sure. Oh, man. Yeah.
That's all you got to say about that?
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking, yeah, that's it. Yep.
You're so used to me like narrating and driving the show forward.
I know. I'm like, I'm waiting. I'm like, what else you got?
I did that too yesterday too, and you were like, yeah. So
I'm not ready.
I love
I'm scared. Wow, what an interesting fact.
Where do we even go from there? Yeah, so let's get into, do you have any quibbles with this movie?
I really don't. Not with this one. I think, I really don't have any quibbles. There's nothing that bugged me. I know that you have a couple, so I'm curious what they are.
They're very small now,
mm-hmm.
and they're kind of in league with one of my small quibbles with the prequel.
Okay, yeah.
So one thing that bothered me back when I watched it early 2000s,
mm-hmm.
I remember thinking, okay, they know that they need to stick together now near the end of the movie.
Right.
Why do they keep splitting up? They keep splitting up. Like, what the hell?
That's a good, yeah.
You know what? I give the movie more leeway now, but there still is one character. I still think that it makes no sense after everything they go through with the blood test and everything. Mm-hmm. After they find out Palmer was a thing and then Palmer kills Windows, I still question, why do they leave Childs back in the lab when they go out to get Blair? Take Childs with you, and if Blair's not there, you're all together. Because guess what? If Childs shows up, no matter if he found Blair or not, now you're questioning whether Childs is a thing.
Yep. That's a good point.
So that still bothers me a little bit when I watch the movie.
I get that. Yeah, that does make sense. It wouldn't give us the ending that we have, but I do understand it. I agree with you. They should have just brought him.
But, I mean, we're sitting there with McCready the whole time, too, and we're wondering if at one point he became a thing, you know?
True. Well, again, no, because I was going to say he's out in the snow by himself, but then he tests his blood, so no. Yeah, you're right. Because I think that's really the only time we don't see him for a period of time.
Correct. The other thing that's interesting about this movie, and it's not so much a quibble, but it's just a very interesting choice.
Mm-hmm.
So as you know, I went back and I read the novella, Who Goes There,
mm-hmm.
which this movie adapts more than the old 1951 movie did.
Right. Yes, I remember you mentioning that before. That's cool.
And one of the things that the novella goes... Most of the novella is a mystery, and it's about who might be this creature, who might not, blah, blah, blah. And they do go through the entire thing where they have this one idea of seeing how blood reacts to non-tainted blood.
Oh, cool. Okay, that's cool.
Because that's what they were going to do. They were going to use blood that they know hasn't been exposed to this creature, and then test everybody's blood against that.
Okay.
And then that blood is destroyed by somebody.
Right.
And then they come up with the burning test.
Okay.
So one interesting thing, when I read the novella, I was like, wow, there's like a couple days jump in the time that it takes for them to try and come up with this new way of testing, right?
Oh, okay. That's
like
cool.
they're trying. Oh, no, that's not it. it's going to take them a couple of days to get the blood that they need so that they can test everybody else against it.
Okay. Huh.
And I was thinking, well, in the movie, there is no time jump really. But there is. There is a big time jump. And it's crazy when you really sit down and you notice it, because you get to the point where they have found the blood.
Right. Yes.
They tie up the 3 people that they suspect could be a creature.
Right. Yes.
Which are, I believe, who is it? It's Commander Gary.
Yes.
And
Palmer.
Clark. Is it Palmer too? No.
Maybe it's not
yet.
Palmer. No, that's... Oh, you're right. Yeah, no, it's not.
It's Clark.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Copper. It's
yes.
those 3.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But then the next scene is McCready sitting there drinking and recording into the tape recorder.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, right.
So if you listen to what McCready says right away, before they were talking about this storm coming, right?
Right.
Then when McCready's recording in the tape recorder, he says, we've been hit by this storm for 48 hours now. It's such a fast line, but that means that all those guys were tied up for 2 days.
Oh, that's brutal, dude.
And they've all been like going stir crazy for 2 days.
Oh, that makes way more sense.
It's very
Good.
interesting.
Yeah. Wow. I did not even catch that. That's cool. I like that.
But that's about it. I mean, I don't really have any other quibbles. I mean, the practical effects are slightly dated, and they're not really dated. I don't mean to say dated because they still look fantastic. But
right.
Just like we talked about during the prequel, when they had practical effects for that, it looked like an 80s movie to test audiences.
Right. Right.
So if you have practical effects that look like the ones in this movie, in a movie today, people will be like, oh, I love that 80s aesthetic.
Right. Yep. Totally. So one thing I want to bring up, I love movies like this. I love, is there someone you can't trust? I hate it. I hate movies and shows where like our main character is replaced by like a doppelganger or a robot or whatever, and they cause anarchy and no one knows about it. And they're like, why is my friend doing this? I hate that. I hate that cliche in movies. I hate it. I love it when the group knows about what's going on and they're trying to figure things out as well, like this movie. One of my favorite, and not even one of my all-time favorite Twilight Zone episode is called The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, which is about trust. That's all it's about. Trust between people and whether you can trust them or not. I love that episode. It's my favorite. And that's one of the reasons I love this movie, is not only is it about trust, but also you're trying to figure out as well, who can I as an audience member trust? Or who do I think I can trust? And then you get wonderful surprises. So I like this because you almost feel like a character there. You know that you're safe. I'm not a monster, obviously, but who is? Which one of these guys? So I love movies like that. I love this movie for that reason as well. I think it's just fun.
I absolutely agree with you. And I'm going to go off on a small tangent here.
Please.
I actually have a board game in my closet that I've only been able to play once, because basically if you play with less than 5 or 6 people, it kind of loses its luster. But it's called The Thing, The Infection at Outpost 31.
Okay. Whoa.
And basically you go rounds, you play through rounds of this game, and at the beginning of a round, everybody gets a card. And they look at it in secret. And this card tells them whether they are safe or whether they are infected.
Oh, cool. Okay. That's awesome.
And then you do things around this board that represents the outpost. And you have to go through and you're trying to get weapons and stuff and things so that you can take the helicopter and escape, right?
Cool. Yeah.
But the thing you're trying to do in this game is find out who is infected, who is a thing, and try to keep them from getting into the helicopter at the end of the game and escaping. And their goal is to cause a little chaos as secretly as they can, and then get on the elevator the helicopter and escape.
I love this. This sounds amazing.
I played it one time, and it was such... It could have been played better, okay?
Okay, all right.
I don't think we had enough people, but I remember thinking, oh my God, this game really does present the paranoia of this scenario better than anything I could think of.
That's awesome. Oh, I love that.
It was so freaking cool.
Oh, man. Whenever I visit, we got to get a group together because that sounds awesome. Or vice versa, if you come visit here.
Yeah, if we can. Like, that would be amazing.
That'd be so fun. I was curious, too, about, speaking of board games, we'll get back to the movie. Don't worry, everybody. But the Final Girl board game, there's one based on The Thing called Station 22891, which is 1982 backwards. A wink. And it's, the organism. And I'm very curious how you play that one, if it follows this at all. I don't really know the rules to that one, but I'm curious now how to play that one. So
I haven't played that scenario yet.
Oh, right on. Okay.
If I had remembered, I would have tried to play it before this podcast, but
that's all right.
Maybe I will play it and do a Patreon episode or something.
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be fun.
That'd be pretty neat. I don't know.
That would
I'll
be
have to
pretty
see
neat.
if I can do that.
Okay.
And if it would work in an audio-only setting.
I think it could. I
We'll
think
see.
it could. Yeah, all
We'll
right.
see.
That'd be cool.
One thing we talked about in our last episode, we said that in some ways, you and I both felt that the 2011 prequel made a couple of the scenes in this movie even better.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think mostly, for me at least, I was talking about when McCready and I think Norris, when they go to Camp Thule, or the Norwegian camp.
That was my thoughts exactly.
Man, I love that scene now. I love when you see the axe and you know why the axe is in the door now.
Yep. That was my favorite moment. I was like, oh, there it is. I get it.
I love seeing the guy who slit his wrists and his throat, and knowing that we saw him at the end of the prequel, and he was in the same position. Except what's even more interesting is that it's almost a little bit gorier in this one. Like, his throat is actually a little bit wider open than it was in the 2011 movie.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah.
And of course, I love the ice block.
Yeah, I was going to say, yep.
I love knowing that there was a creature that flew out and up into the ceiling.
Yep. Me too. Well, and like you were saying, I mean, yeah, I think you were saying it on our, it wasn't just out of the podcast, but just how much detail they looked at going through this movie to make that movie, to make the 2011 movie look like this movie. It's cool. Like, they did a really good job in that one.
Yeah.
And I think it works well. Now, having seen both one right after the other, I'm like, it works so well. It just works so well.
It does. And while we're talking about 2011's The Thing, we can say a few things that we weren't able to say in our last episode. If you remember, way back then, we talked about how one of the things we both said and agreed on is that the prequel, being a prequel and not a remake, followed the beats of John Carpenter's The Thing a little bit too closely.
Right.
We didn't go into too much detail because we didn't want to talk about the beats in John Carpenter's The Thing. But, I mean, let's kind of go over that, because you have all these things. You have the dog starting everything.
Yep.
Even though the dog in 2011 wasn't infected right away.
Right.
But that was the first sign that we saw that something was wrong.
Exactly. Yep.
And then you have people getting infected and a misdirect of who's infected. In 1982, we have Clark being the most obvious choice of somebody who might be infected.
Right.
And now I'm going to bring up something I really love in 1982.
Oh, okay.
There's a scene where the dog walks down the hallway and goes into a room, and you see somebody's shadow, and he turns around. Now that we know who is infected, you can look at that shadow and you can tell that it's Norris.
Yes. Very good. Yep. Totally. That's
and
a good
there
point.
is a moment when the dog walks through the rec room and he walks out the door that Norris looks back at the dog. And you're like, oh, interesting.
That's true. That's good. That's really cool.
But so you have that misdirect. You have the examination of the creature on the table.
Mm-hmm.
You have somebody who is not necessarily in charge, reluctantly taking a leadership role.
Right.
You have somebody get shot instead of killed by the thing.
Yep.
You have a test where
Yeah.
it's a big, like, suspenseful scene. Who might be infected, you know?
Yep.
Although the test scene in 2011 does not end with somebody turning into a thing right away.
Right.
You have, is it 2 characters in 2011 as well? Yeah. 2 characters
Yes.
that are out in the cold and come back frozen, and everybody's questioning whether those characters are now the thing.
Yep.
You have, excuse me, but you have one black actor in the movie.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Let's see, what else? Jeez.
I mean, it ends with 2 people. Again, they both go to the spaceship at some point.
Oh, that's right, because this one has a little spaceship that Blair built.
Right.
But in the prequel, they go back to the big spaceship. And then
Right.
the only difference is that in John Carpenter's, the 2 people are left alive, and you're wondering who could be it.
Right.
Whereas in 2011, they tell you without a doubt that one of them is the thing.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm sure we could think of other things too. It's just, for me, it was way too many of the same beats in 2011.
Seeing now, knowing again, I'm so curious, and I should have done some research just how they advertised the 2011 movie, because if they did advertise it as a prequel, then they could have absolutely veered away. If they didn't advertise it as a prequel, then I get that they use those beats because they were like, yeah, it's a remake, and then when you get to the end, it's a prequel, and people go, oh, whoa, they got me. I don't know. I'm just curious how they advertised it.
So somebody who was not familiar with John Carpenter's The Thing, that might have worked on them, but anybody who knows the story of Carpenter's The Thing knows about the Norwegian camp.
True. Yes, you're right.
So as soon as the movie starts and you see them discover the spaceship, you know that, oh, we're seeing the story of the other people.
Right. Right.
If you didn't know already.
Right. Yeah, good point.
So,
yeah, that's a good point.
The last thing I'm going to say that I know of about 2011 that I wasn't able to say in our last episode, but it's a cool piece of trivia, and I wanted to say it, but I held back.
Okay.
At the beginning of the prequel, Kate is in a lab when the doctor scientist guy, the a-hole, shows up.
Right. Yes.
And she's doing research on a creature or something.
Yeah.
It looks like a dog-like creature. I don't know what it is.
I can't remember, but yeah.
They actually got the model of the dog creature from the 1982 film, and that's what she's actually looking at. It's the actual special effects model.
That's cool. I did not know that. I kind of want to rewatch that scene now. That's really cool. That's really cool.
It's kind of hard to tell, but I do know that when I watched the prequel for our last episode, the first time I was like, man, what the hell is she looking at? It's very bloated and big and really interesting looking. It looks like an alien itself.
Right. That's funny. I love that. I really love that. That's awesome. That's very cool.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
How long had it been since you had seen this movie before you watched it for the podcast?
A number of years. Maybe like 10. I mean, it had been a while. It had been a good chunk of time.
Are you like me and you always seem to forget that there's the quick scene of the spaceship traveling through space and then
Yes. Yeah.
going towards Earth? I always forget that scene exists in this movie.
You know what made me think about it this time is I recently rewatched Predator, the original Predator, and it's almost the same intro. You see the spaceship like go right into, and I was like, wait, did I pick the right movie? Like it just took me a second. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, I totally forgot about that. But yes, I did forget about that.
Possibly Predator is an homage to this.
This absolutely could be. I could see that now, just because it's very similar, man. If you watch it, it's very similar.
But I mentioned it in our last episode, and I'm going to mention it here. The title card of this movie is so freaking cool.
Yes. Yeah.
The way the Thing letters burn into the screen. And I love finding out 2 episodes ago that the title card in this movie was a direct copy and homage to the title card from The Thing from Another World.
Yes, that is super cool. I love it. I love that.
And oh my God. Okay, so here's something that I found out was kind of a criticism of this movie back in the day.
Oh, okay.
And I can totally understand it, but I'm still surprised that it was a criticism in 1982.
Okay.
But the fact that this movie has no female actors in it at all.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true.
I guess people actually complained about that back in the day.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I noticed it. I mean, I've obviously seen it, but especially watching 2011 right before where we have 2 females at the base camp to 0. I get it. Yeah.
Also in 1951.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It's crazy.
That is crazy.
So let's talk about the acting as we do, because the acting in this movie, you know, even though there are no females, no women.
True.
It is true that the actors in this movie, the men, all did a fantastic job. Iconic.
Yep. I agree. I mean, everyone's great. I love watching. Kurt Russell's always fun. Keith.
David.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I totally had a brain fart. Keith David is... I love that Kurt Russell and Keith David have both worked with John Carpenter a few times, because it shows me that not only are they good, which we can see, but they must be fun to work with, or at least easy to work with, or people wouldn't hire them. You know what I mean? So I feel like... And the fact that they were at his... John Carpenter's star reveal, I thought was pretty cool. I'm like, that's
so
really
nice.
cool. I will say the one thing, and it's terrible, and I shouldn't think this, but whenever I see Wilford Brimley, I should think of his roles. I should think of his acting roles. But man, when I was younger, he did so many diabetes commercials that's what I always think about when I see Wilford Brimley, and I'm like, I hate it. I hate that there were so many of those commercials, because that's what I always think about, is him saying diabetes. And it's like, oh, man.
Since I'm not as terrible a person as you, I actually do think of Cocoon.
See, believe me, I know. He's done a zillion movies, and that's what I should think about. But those stupid commercials played every 10 seconds when I was growing up. And so whenever I see Wilford Brimley, I think of those dang commercials, man. It's a bummer.
I also think of this show that used to come on Sunday nights, and I forget what the show was called, but it basically focused on a girl and her brother who had Down syndrome, and I believe Wilford Brimley was her grandfather.
Was it Life with Corky?
It wasn't Life with Corky, but Corky was the character.
Okay.
Becca was the girl.
Okay.
But I think the show was called Life something. Life, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I know what you're talking about, though. Yeah, Corky. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was Wilford Brimley in that show too.
Oh, right on. Okay.
So
I don't know if I knew that. Okay.
I know about the diabetes commercials, but I didn't see them that much. So I just think of him from his wonderful acting.
I mean, he's a great actor. Don't get me wrong. Of course I know him from acting, but those stupid commercials played every 10 seconds. Ugh. Now I'm mad at it.
If you have type 2 diabetes like I have, you're confronted with choices. You can choose to feel sorry for yourself. I hope you don't. I hope you choose to get involved with a good doctor. Find out some things about diabetes and your own body in the bargain.
So the commentary that's on the Blu-ray for this is, I think it's from 1998, but it's John Carpenter and Kurt Russell.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
It's a lot of fun to listen to, but one thing they both talk about is how good Wilford Brimley was.
Nice.
I agree so much. One of my favorite scenes in this movie is the scene where he's locked in the cabin or the other facility, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yes.
And Kurt Russell goes to the door and he opens the slide and you just see the noose there.
Yes.
And then just Wilford just like looking at him.
Yep.
And just the calmness and the straightforwardness with which he says his lines, like, I'm okay now.
Yeah.
I can come inside. Let me come in. And then like when Kurt's about to leave, he comes up to the door and he's like, now, wait a second, man. I'm okay. I don't. There's just the way he delivers his lines is just so perfectly Wilford Brimley.
I agree. And I love that Kurt Russell just closes it on him, though.
Yeah, but you
Just
can
like
also
it.
see where he's kind of sad that he has to do it.
You're right.
He's now taken this leadership role, and as a leader, he's got to keep him separated.
Make tough choices. Yeah.
Even if those choices are leaving Childs by himself after you've already tested him. What the? Jesus Christ. Man, everybody is so good. Richard Masur as Clark.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So he's probably my favorite character.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, for sure. He's great.
It's just because of his love of the dogs, and it kind of hurts my heart. You know, when we talk about do the dogs die,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the scenes themselves don't bother me. What makes me more sad is, like, especially the moment in the hallway
Mm-hmm.
after Blair has gone kind of crazy, and somebody mentions that Blair killed all the dogs.
Yes.
And the look on Masur's face, or Clark, the look on Clark's face, and then he just goes straight to the kennel.
Yep.
And that's the only part that kind of like makes me sad, because then you see like the fake dog with the axe in his neck. And I was just like, man.
Yeah.
So
I know. No, he was great in it. And yeah, I agree. Like, you could tell he loved all those pups. He loved them. Even at the beginning when we see him, I mean, they're his family. I mean, they really are.
he likes the dogs better than the humans, which I completely understand.
Yeah, I was like, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, so I just love all these characters, and like you mentioned, the movie makes you care about these characters before they start questioning each other.
That's true. Yeah. Yep. You're
so you
absolutely
not only
right.
care who dies, you care who might be the thing, and like it kind of hurts when you think that it might be McCready.
Yeah. Yes. Which, I mean, would have been a crazy twist, like our main character being the thing. But you do. I mean, you know.
I think these days it wouldn't have been as good a twist, maybe in 1982.
Right, yeah. Yep.
But that's why you have the ending where McCready might be
You're
a
right.
thing at the end, by the end, you know? And I haven't read them, but there are theories online where people make really good cases as to why he could be. But
I've read a few of those, yeah, as well. I read like on Reddit or something where it was like, here's the case for Childs and here's the case for McCready. And it was like, well,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
But the beautiful thing is that, according to this commentary I listened to, I don't think John Carpenter cares who might be a thing. His whole purpose at the end of this movie was to show that one of them might be, they might not be, and we'll never know.
I love that, though. And this is, as you know, I mean, sometimes endings for me, well, it just depends. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. This one works so well for me. I was fine not knowing. And I was fine with it having that kind of bleak ending. Like, not even fine with it. I liked it. I liked that he did that. I thought it was fun, and it makes you paranoid a little bit as well. As sort of that character that you almost imagine you're in the movie going, who's who, who's what, you know. It still gives you that paranoia at the end, and you don't get the resolve, which is what paranoia is. So I love it. I love the ending.
I do too. In this commentary, I can't remember if it was in the commentary or in the behind-the-scenes little movie documentary, but I believe John Carpenter mentioned that they knew how bleak an ending it was. And I don't know if they filmed it or not, but they actually had a second ending in which you find out that McCready is not a thing. Oh, so he gets rescued.
Oh.
And when they take him back, they find out that they test him and they find out that he is not one of these creatures.
Oh.
But Carpenter liked the ending they had.
No, this was definitely the way to go. Especially for that time. I feel like that worked.
Yeah. So let's talk about real quick these creatures in this movie, because I mean, I don't know what to say about them except what I wrote down, which is every single creature scene in this movie is just iconic.
And that's the thing is you could.
I'm sorry, that's the what?
Sorry, that's the thing. 1982, but that's the callback. No, you could take a screenshot of any time the thing is on screen, and you'd know exactly what part. You'd know exactly where it was because it's just so memorable. Every single time you see the thing, you know exactly. I mean, it's wild. It's so awesome. I love the practical effects. I love that each design is its own thing, which is amazing and wonderful. It's still the same creature, but it has these unique looks every single time that are so crazy and creepy. I love it. It's so cool.
You want to know what's freaking crazy about
What?
this movie and the creatures?
What?
So Rob Bottin, he was the one that designed most all of these creatures.
Okay.
The dog creature, I believe, was designed by Stan Winston. He came in later just because of how overwhelmed with work they were.
Ah, okay.
But Rob Bottin had been working with Carpenter, but he had never done anything like this. But the most amazing thing of all of this is that Rob Bottin also did the creature effects for The Howling. He was 20 years old when he did that.
Dude.
He was 22 years old when he did The Thing.
Whoa. That's insane.
Yeah.
He's a kid.
That's crazy.
Like, that's crazy.
He was absolutely a kid. He wasn't even legal drinking age when he designed the werewolves in The Howling. What the hell?
Oh my gosh. That is insane. What a talent. Oh my gosh. I would call that a prodigy. Someone that can do that at that age. Like, that's insanely impressive. That is really cool.
Yeah. But man, everything is so iconic. The dogs, the dog creature.
Yeah, for sure.
That's one I think of. I always think of Copper putting his hands in Norris's chest.
Yep. That one's definitely one I always think of. Then he pulls out his no hands.
Yeah. The chest turns into a big mouth.
Yeah. Bites his hands off.
Everybody knows this that's listening to this.
Right.
Carpenter was saying the one special effect that didn't quite work the way they meant it to was Palmer during the blood test.
Oh.
Because you can kind of see when his face starts to melt, like all of a sudden he's normal, and then the camera goes away, and then it comes back, and his face is just all deformed and stuff, you know?
Yep.
But man, after that, when he's just... That part is so good because those two guys are tied up on this couch with him, and he's sitting there turning into a creature.
Yep.
And then when his head splits open and bites down on Window's head... It's so awesome.
It's the best. And his legs are flailing. Like, it's awesome. I love that scene.
Oh my God.
I think though my favorite like creature design, just because it's so creepy, is the head falling off and growing the legs out of it. And then we see it crawl behind McCready in the back. And then they turn and look at it and they're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, it's such a cool moment though of like, I mean, who thinks of that? A head falling off, growing legs, and walking away. Like, that is so creepy and awesome, and I love it.
Funny enough, you know, I mentioned that I always forget about the flying saucer at the beginning. The other thing I totally forgot, which is really weird, is the final creature. The one that comes out of the floorboards in the basement.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like the big Blair creature.
And
the dog head comes out of it.
Yeah.
And what's weird about that is I had... I think it was a McFarlane action figure of that creature.
Oh, cool. That's sick.
And of course, I wish I still had it because back then I thought it was cool. But now I would think that it was amazingly cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually think I've seen that. It's cool.
Yeah. I'm sure you have. We can look it up online right now.
Yeah.
Because I also think that it came with a smaller Norris head with the spider legs.
Oh, that's cool. That's pretty cool.
Now, a very cool thing is jumping into a different movie, my favorite horror movie of all time, which is still, I think it still is.
Yeah.
Is It.
Right.
And it's got an homage to The Thing in it, where a head sprouts legs and starts crawling around. So,
yep. That's true. Aw, I didn't even think of
Yeah,
that. You're right.
And in the commentary for that movie, Andy Muschietti,
hmm
I believe that's how you say his last name, he definitely admitted that, yes, this is a direct homage to The Thing. I love that movie, so
That's awesome.
beautiful.
Love it. I love it. What a great homage.
It's a fantastic homage, my friend. I remember during the blood test scene, I remember how much that made me jump when I was young.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
That is such an incredible scene. And this is why this movie is so highly regarded, because there is such an atmosphere in this movie. The way scenes are constructed and edited and acted are just perfect.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
That scene in particular, because, yeah, you have him putting this really hot metal wire into the blood, knowing that if the blood reacts to it, then the person's a thing, because McCready has noticed that this thing will do anything to survive.
Right. Yes.
So it's just brilliant. And then he's just constantly putting this thing in different things of blood, and he does his own blood. And if it's not a thing, it just goes tss.
Right.
And then it's just such a, like, these days we're used to it. But back in 1982, the misdirect at that moment, the way you're still kind of focusing on the blood of the person before, because he does Clark.
Right. Exactly.
And Childs says, so he was human the whole time. That makes you a murderer.
Yeah.
And then and you're still like kind of focused on that while he's holding Palmer's blood, and then he's kind of still even looking at Childs when he puts the wire in it. And then all of a sudden the blood just jumps and you're like, whoa.
Yes. No, I agree. You're focused. He did a marvelous job on that, because you are focused on something else. And I love that special effect as well. I think it's such a cool effect. Seeing, again, practical, seeing it shoot up is so wonderful. It's so cool.
Have you ever noticed that that's a fake hand holding it?
No, I haven't.
I haven't either, but Carpenter mentioned it in the commentary, and when he mentions it and you look, you're like, oh, that's definitely a fake hand.
Oh my gosh.
It's so easy to tell.
I never look at the hand. You look at the Petri dish. That's hilarious.
Exactly. You never look at the hand. And you know what else?
What?
The scene where Blair is going crazy and tearing up all the equipment, and McCready is standing behind the wall in the hallway.
Yep.
Childs comes up behind him, right?
Right. Yeah. Yes.
Keith David had been in a car accident and hurt his hand.
Oh, no.
So what they have is his jacket. He's kind of holding it, and they painted his glove brown, the color of his skin.
Oh my gosh.
I've never noticed it, but Carpenter pointed it out during the commentary, and it's so obvious if you look at it.
I've never noticed that.
Watch that scene and look at his hand as he puts it behind McCready's head.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I did not know that story. That's crazy. That's hilarious.
So amazing.
Wow.
Going back to the atmosphere of this movie, my friend, do you know who did the cinematography in this movie?
I don't. Not off the top of my head.
Dean Cundey. Dean Cundey is, of course, the cinematographer for Jurassic Park.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Apollo 13, Escape from New York, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And he is also, if you remember, the cinematographer for a movie that we recently reviewed and gave really, really high marks to. Garfield the movie.
Oh, no. Oh, wow. Oh.
And here's the thing I'll say about Dean Cundey in this movie is that I honestly think that this is one of his best jobs as cinematographer.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. It was fantastic. It was phenomenal.
Especially the stuff outside with the blue light and the different, the different atmospheres outside. And just the way he lit them. Like, for instance, whenever McCready was holding the flare.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The way that was lit. I mean, the color correction also. I don't know who color corrected it back in the day, but yeah, like the color in this movie is just so pristine and so perfect. I love it.
I agree. Yeah, like you said, I mean, those outside moments with the orange fire and the blue sky or blue air, it really does pop. Like, it looks really nice. It's very pretty.
And of course, we got to talk about the music score.
Dude.
So here's the thing. I said it again. Here's the thing. I got to stop saying here's the thing.
I think this episode, it works, man.
I think it does too, but it makes me wonder if I say it too much in other episodes.
Well, I mean, there's not a lot of phrases that are similar. Like, I don't know. I think it's fine.
So in the past, when I have looked up this soundtrack, I haven't been able to find it. And it's because I look up John Carpenter and Alan Howarth because they do the scores for most of their movies, right?
Right.
But they didn't do the score for this movie.
Oh.
The amazing maestro Ennio Morricone did the score for The Thing.
Oh, whoa. I really thought it was Carpenter.
Well, here's the thing.
Okay.
So Morricone had done most of the score for this movie, but when they were editing the movie, they realized that there were some passages in the movie, some parts that were just, they needed music score for it.
Okay.
So John Carpenter and Alan Howarth came in and did some music for those scenes.
Okay.
And guess what those scenes were?
The main theme?
Yeah.
Any of the
the main iconic theme at the beginning of the movie, at the end of the movie, just the doom doom and then the which isn't very complicated, but it's just perfect for this.
It really is. No. Like I said, when I watched the 2011 ending, like, I got goosebumps because that theme comes on and you go, oh, there it is. There it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's very simple, but it works really well.
It works so well. The unfortunate side effect of that is that if you look up the soundtrack to The Thing on Apple Music or whatever, it's Ennio Morricone's soundtrack, which is still great. There's still some amazing pieces of music in it, but it doesn't have that main theme included.
Oh, man. That's a bummer.
I always wondered why it wasn't on that soundtrack, and then I found out.
Wow. Back in the day, if you had gotten that soundtrack, I would have been bummed. I would have been like, well, where the heck is the reason I bought this? I would have been so mad.
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
Another cool thing is, well, did you know that they actually filmed this on a glacier in British Columbia?
I did not know that. No, I didn't know where this was filmed.
They filmed some stuff like inside the research lab. They filmed that on a studio, on a stage, but a lot of the most of the outdoor stuff, that was all filmed on a glacier, and they were actually really freaking cold.
I bet. I was very curious about that because when you see their breath, which we had kind of talked about in the black and white, The Thing from Another Planet, talking about the breath. Like, in this one, they do look cold. I mean, they look like it's not fun. So I was very curious if they were just really good or they were really cold. I mean, or both. But that's interesting to know that they actually were out there doing that. That's cool. I love that.
Some of that was acting, though, my friend. Some of it was acting. Yeah, because obviously when they're on a stage and they have to act cold.
Right. Well, yeah. Right.
But oh my God, do they sell it? Like when Knowles comes back from outside.
Yes.
Like even Kurt Russell in the commentary says, man, he really does look cold. He did a good job acting cold there.
Yeah. It's true.
When McCready is standing there with the flare after he comes back inside, he looks so cold. He looks like he almost froze, and it's amazing. It's just really good stuff.
No, I agree. I
don't know how true this is, but Kurt Russell did mention in the commentary that one of the tricks that was used, I don't know if it was used on this movie or others, but one of the tricks that was used was putting little baskets in their mouths that had dry ice in them.
Oh.
But the basket evidently would protect your tongue and everything from the dry ice, but you would breathe out the stuff, whatever. I don't know.
I'm curious about that. That's interesting. I want to try it now.
We'll have to look that up.
I know. That's if that is real, that's a cool effect.
When the dog goes into the kennel.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Carpenter was mentioning which shots of the dog when it's just sitting in the middle, some of those shots are not a real dog.
Oh, right on.
I'm talking before it starts to transform.
Right. Wow.
Some of those shots, I can't believe it's not a real dog. Even though Carpenter was saying that they had to light it a certain way because you can tell by the fur that it's not a real dog.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, you did a darn good job because that looks like a real dog every single time.
They did a doggone good job.
Doggone it.
I went there. But no, I did not know that. I do like that scene too where all the other huskies start losing it when he goes in there. I was like, that's a good moment.
Richard Masur was talking about that dog, and he was saying that it was part wolf, part dog, and
oh wow, okay.
The wolf part of it was a little bit more dominant, and he got along with the dog, but sometimes when the dog was unhappy with something, it didn't growl or bark or anything like that. It would just look at you. It would give you a look.
Whoa.
And he said that the trainer had said, if the dog gives you that look, give it space. You know, just be cool. You know, it's like
that's really scary.
Man. So
wow, that's an alpha dog right there in charge.
Alpha wolf
or alpha wolf? Yes, alpha wolf. That's what I meant. Alpha wolf.
Another fun scene to watch is after Palmer is set on fire and he runs outside, bursts through the door, and McCready throws the dynamite at him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
That explosion was a little bit bigger than Kurt Russell expected.
Oh, shoot.
So watch him in that scene, and you see him like really flinch hard away from it because that thing almost burned him.
Jeez.
Kurt Russell talks about that like he almost died. So, yeah.
Jeez. Someone wasn't working safety in 1982.
Heck no.
Yeah, OSHA wasn't there.
Another special effect I always forget about is when Blair finds Commander Gary and he puts his hand on his face.
Oh,
and then
yes.
His fingers get embedded in his cheeks.
Yep. Yes. That's a great effect.
Oh, it's such a good effect.
Yes.
And then if you pay attention, he's like pulling Gary by this elongated facial skin or something. It's just,
dragging
so
him.
Good.
I love that moment. It was so creepy and gross, but it looks so good. Like they did a great job.
Absolutely. I don't know that I have much else. Blair getting locked in another room is actually also from the book.
Oh, really?
It is amazing how well this movie followed the book, but improved upon the story.
Oh, cool.
Because in the story, in the novella, Blair locks himself in a room.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's the same thing. He's paranoid. He thinks everybody else is a creature, and he's not.
Interesting.
So he locks himself in this room and barricades the door and what have you. I can't remember if they find out he's a thing. I honestly don't remember how that story ends. I don't think it ends the same way the movie does, but
yeah, I'm curious if there's how that ends, if there's two people or if there's a happy ending.
Any other notes I'd have would be like little tiny things. Like I love how intently the dog is watching them come back on the helicopter.
Yep.
Through the window, and when you know that it's a thing, you know that the thing is just intently watching them to see what they found.
Yes. Yep.
And it's just a dog standing still, but it's so freaking effective.
Yes. Oh, no, I agree. And then I love the creature design as well when they do bring it back, just with the two faces. I mean,
yes.
Which is amazing.
I didn't mention that earlier. Thank you.
And then, of course, like we've talked about with the 2011, seeing how the origin of why it has two faces was fun. But either way, I just love that it has these two mushed faces.
That brings up a funny thing in my mind, because like I said, I hadn't seen this movie in a while. And when I watched the 2011 movie, you know, at the very end, the helicopter comes down and they see the deformed, burned creature in the snow. And I'm like, wouldn't they have noticed that when in 1982 movie? Wouldn't they have noticed that was out there? Like, wouldn't somebody have seen that? And then I'm like, and then I watched the 1982 movie and I'm sitting there thinking, oh, of course. Come on, Scotty.
Right.
It's just all these little things I forgot. And I love that I forgot them because it was such a nice treat to see them again.
I agree. No, I'm glad you forgot him. That definitely is a fun way to rewatch it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I even have a note about the creature with the fused face.
There you go.
So there you go. Small note.
Yeah.
I love how the graphics of the cells assimilating the human cells looks like asteroids.
Yes, totally.
And they have an Asteroids Deluxe arcade cabinet in the rec room.
Oh, that's awesome. One thing I will say is when McCready loses at chess and pours his drink in the computer, I was like, that's excessive, McCready. Like,
Yeah.
come on, man.
I think I have that note too, because I'm sitting there thinking, well, it's a good thing that everything went to hell after this, because otherwise you'd be bored stiff.
Well, not only that, who knows what else that computer was used for? It was like...
It was just a chess computer. That's all it was.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, if you look at it, it's like Chess Master.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's all that computer did was chess.
All right, well, that makes sense. Well, I mean, it doesn't make sense. I still was like, chill out. But it's not as bad.
It's like you have no idea that your life is going to be upended.
Yeah. Yep.
Another nice little moment is when they have the body from the Norwegian camp in the one room, and they have it, I think it's Windows, is looking at the body, and then he covers it, and he turns around, and you see the body move under the blanket.
Yep. It's perfect.
But then that brings up a thought. Are any of these things actually dead?
See, I've wondered that too, because, I mean, they're burnt to a crisp, but they seem to always come back. Always. Or a piece of them falls off and it's still alive.
Well, that's not exactly true throughout the whole movie, and even in the prequel movie. They don't really come back. I mean, if they chop an appendage off of a living thing, yes, that appendage moves and stuff, but once they burn them, they usually don't come back, but that is evidence right there. Maybe if you don't burn it enough.
There you go. Yeah, maybe that's it.
I don't know.
You got to get it well done. You don't want medium rare on these bad boys.
One thing that Carpenter talked about that I really like the idea of is that this thing isn't inherently evil. This is not an evil creature. It may be the villain of this movie because it's killing the people, but this is just a thing that landed on Earth and it just wants to survive.
That's a good point.
I forget if it was Carpenter or somebody else, but they said, if you landed on an alien planet, wouldn't you just want to survive?
That's a good point.
And this thing survives by replicating other creatures.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't think of it like that, but it's totally true. Wow. Well, now I have some empathy for the thing.
There you go. Do you have anything else?
I don't. I just looked at my notes. I think my notes are covered.
Okay. The only thing I'm going to mention before we get to 3 questions is this movie reminds me of Night of the Living Dead a little bit.
Okay.
Because even though I didn't fall in love with it until very recently, I remember I have this sense memory of watching this as a kid, as a teenager. I seem to remember watching this during the day on a weekend because that's when I would watch horror movies with my parents. And I just remember the feeling that I was left with at the end of the movie, with the music and the bleak feeling that you're left with. Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's one of my favorite things about this movie these days is just that feeling at the very end of the movie.
Yeah, I get that. And I do, I mean, when you say that, talking about Night of the Living Dead, very similar feeling. Very.
Yeah. And now it's time for 3 questions.
Let's do this.
Who would cross the bridge of death must answer me these questions 3.
Question number 1. For you, my friend, what was the best death/kill in the thing?
That's really hard because they all kind of die the same way.
Right.
So are we talking about the creature that they become? You know, I think it's 2 different questions. What's your favorite creature from the movie? Because otherwise, most of them die by burning.
True.
You know?
That's true.
So I have kind of a double answer here.
Yeah, no, please do.
I think like you, my favorite creature/death is Norris. The whole chest opening up, his head elongating and tearing off of his body and then becoming a spider head.
Yep.
And see, no, that's it. That's it because Windows doesn't die from having his... Well, maybe Windows does die from having his head chomped on by another thing, and then he starts to become a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't know. But I'm going to go with Norris. What about you?
Mine was Windows. I assume that he died by getting chomped. And I love that moment of the legs flailing. I was just like, this is so good. It's so ridiculous and crazy, and I love it. So mine, I'm going with it, man. I'm saying he died because I just love that moment. So Windows.
I love that you went with that one.
Yeah. It was just fun. All right, my friend, was this movie scary?
That's a really good question.
Right?
Unlike the prequel,
Mm-hmm.
I think back in 1982, this movie was one of the scarier movies that came out.
Yeah.
I think this movie scares the hell out of people because I think a lot of people are scared of monsters and of the grotesque creatures that are in this movie.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, these days, am I scared of it? No, it doesn't scare me at all.
Right.
And more than anything, I just have a bleak, empty feeling at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say no, but I'm going to say I'm pretty sure it was pretty damn scary in the 80s.
Yep. I'm stealing your answer. I think the exact same thing. It doesn't scare me, but man, this, like you said, if you could go back in time and see this in the theater with people, this would be one to do it with. This would be a fun movie in the theaters. Opening weekend. Oof. Oh. All right, question number 3, my friend. Did you have fun with horror?
Buddy, I didn't just have fun with horror with this movie. This whole series has been fun to watch and talk about.
Yes.
I love that we did another series of movies, even though 1951's The Thing is not a sequel or prequel to these movies. It's a different version, a different adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
I love that we did all 3 of these movies and we got to the end and we did them, because we've talked about it. The fact that we're bi-weekly now, it's harder to do a full series because it could take up half of a year.
Right.
So I love that we did this movie. I'm really happy with our conversation about it. So, yeah, I had fun with horror.
Ditto, buddy. I had a blast with horror, and I agree. It was fun to do another series. I loved doing the Candyman series with you, so it was fun that we got to do something new, something different, but the whole series again. So I agree. I had a blast.
I think we might think about, in the future, if we do a series like this, do it way ahead of time so that we can release them weekly, and so that it won't take up like 5 months to go through 6 movies or something.
Right. Yeah.
I agree. Maybe we could do a series in between and then just stockpile them for later or something. We don't know, but until then, we're probably not going to do a series for a long time, so never mind.
Well, forget the movie I pick next.
Okay, well, here's the thing.
Listen. It could have imitated 1 million life forms on 1 million planets, could change into any one of them at any time. Now it wants life forms on Earth.
It's getting cold in here, Fuchs, and I haven't slept in
Wait a
2
minute,
days.
Mac, wait a minute. It needs to be alone and in close proximity with the life form to be absorbed. The chameleon strikes in the dark.
So is Blair cracking up or what?
Damn it, McCready, there is still cellular activity in these burned remains. They're not dead yet.
Andrew, we have reached the end of our series about the Thing movies, and you get the next pick. So, now that we're moving away from a series of movies, what's our next movie, buddy? It could be anything.
It could be anything. I mean, honestly, I've been waiting for this movie for way too long. I've heard only good things. I mean, I think people have even been saying, movie of the year. I've been waiting for digital, and it's now available on digital. My friend, we are watching Sinners.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sinners.
I'm so excited.
It's going to be an interesting discussion. And now I'll tell you this. I'm not going to promise anything, but we may have a special guest. But it's not set in stone.
Okay.
So I'm not going to say who it is until this person accepts and we have this person on. We'll see.
Okay.
It's not a celebrity or anything. It's just somebody we know. So there you go.
Okay. All right.
Sinners, everybody. Sinners. It's going to be a heck of a movie to talk about. Oh,
Yes.
my God.
And if you are wondering, it's not streaming yet. It's, again, brand spanking new. So you got to rent or buy. It may even, it's, I think, probably still in theaters.
Well, I don't know. We're recording this at the beginning of June. And
right.
yeah, so
that's right.
By the time the Sinners episode comes out, just check justwatch.com.
Yeah,
like we
there you
always
go.
do. But anyway, that's it, buddy.
Yay.
That is it.
Oh,
buddy.
We did it.
I love you.
I love you.
I love you as a series of I love yous.
And I love everything about you.
I love you from another world. Everybody, thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for listening, and we will be back in a couple weeks to talk about the movie of the year, Sinners. Yes. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I'm not going to harm anybody, and there's nothing wrong with me. And if there was, I'm all better now. I'd like to come back inside. Now, you got my promise.